Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about how TF2 cosmetics has changed over the last 11 years of TF2, when they originally started, how Valve has transitioned from making their own to how they kind of manage them now, and how I think we should approach TF2 cosmetics for the future of the game. And yeah, let's get into this. So originally TF2 was barren of hats until May 21st, 2009. when an amazing event called the Sniper V Spy update was brought to the game, with free sniper weapons and free spy weapons, which were amazing enough, but Valve then treated us with the bonus where they gave us 9 TF2 cosmetics, 1 for each class, where they were all made by Valve and there was no input from the community. It was very out of the blue, it just happened that boom, hats were in the game. Obviously there's no trading or anything like that, it's just 1 hat per class. Then later that year, August 13th, Valve added a further 22 cosmetic items to the game, including the first medal and face cosmetic, as part of the famous classless update. Again, all the items were made by Valve at this point, and they were all planned. It was well prepped, it was a well-timed update, and it was all done proper. There's another 4 cosmetic items came out in the game in that year in 2009, making it kind of one of the biggest, most important years for TF2. Especially historically speaking for cosmetics, not just for updates, but it's quite an important year. Valve then added 16 TF2 cosmetic items to the game on April 15th, 2010, and then released the first collaborative TF2 items, where Valve then released the Max's head to go along with 2 weapons that they then brought out with the game, Sam and Max, the Devil's Playhouse, which is quite a staple mark for TF2 on its own, because especially when I had my glory days of playing TF2, I absolutely loved it when a new promotional item came out for TF2. I used to actually buy the game to go, and I used to make no money back then. I used to buy the game just to get those items, and then I should have just traded for them. Realistically, it'd have been way cheaper. But that's why I have all the Total War games. I'm really not into them, but yeah, that's when the first one came out. Then, September 30th, 2010, Valve added a load of their own cosmetics, but more surprisingly, they added 14 paint cans, so that you could make your steadily growing collection of cosmetic items feel even more personal, which was quite a staple mark, because then, for the most part, there wasn't that many, there's less than 50 cosmetics in the game, or 50, 60 cosmetic items in the game, something like that at that point. And it is about making yourself more of an individual without Valve having to release, we need, people are all kind of looking the same and getting bored of this already. What can we do? Well, if you had paint, then you've got, add loads of combinations. And 14 paints they were decent as well. Even had the Australian paint and the lime green paint, the 2 famous ones that everybody wants. So it's quite important. Valve then released a total of 68 TF2 cosmetics, which made all by themselves until December 2017, 2010, when they released the first Australian Christmas, which included 21 community-made cosmetic items that were added to the game through the community workshop, which was a bit out of the blue at the time, making these the first official community-made cosmetic items to the game. Then, over the next couple of years, that's 2010, so over the last 9 years, they added a few more. They added their own, a steady increase of their own cosmetic items here and there. Most of the cosmetic items that Valve added to the game themselves, though, were for big planned events. They never really just did an update like they did the classless update or the Sniper versus Spy update, where they just had an update which was just their cosmetics. Usually, if Valve made their own cosmetics, it was for Screen Fortress, where they added the gibbous, or it was a promotional thing like with the earbuds, or for a game that had just come out. They usually were making their own for stuff like that. Until at one point on the 18th of August 2011, Valve actually started using, not entirely, but they started using for the nanotech or the nanomech, which was for the Deus Ex game. They added a community-made item for the promotional item, which was huge at the time, because everything promotional at the time, so you could get a genuine one, was made by Valve, and this was the first time they were like, whoa, okay, actually we're just going to pull this off the workshop, which works for the best. But Valve has released a total of 367 cosmetics of their own, And as of the 16th of February 2020, there is a whopping total of, and I take these figures, I'll, you know, give or take these figures. I've recounted these numbers a few times and they have changed, but there is a whopping total of 1,050 community-made cosmetic items in the game. So, I mean, statistically speaking, Valve has only just contributed, you know, just over a quarter of what the community has actually added to the game, which is mental. But when you actually look at the updates, if you go through the update list, I'll try and remember to put a link in the description below if you want to look. If you just scroll down, the updates where Valve has added community content, there's loads. there's so much community content. I mean, the most at one time, like, the most amount of items Valve has ever added to the game, where it was all their own, was 26 cosmetic items. Whereas I think the most ever added to the game, where it was all community content, was 102. They had an update where they added 102 cosmetic items from the community workshop at once, which is just absolutely mental. But in terms of how this kind of reflects now, we haven't had many Valve cosmetic items in a good couple of years now. It'd have been a promotional item, whichever one it were. It were some time ago now, but I think now more than ever, you should be looking at going to the community workshop and rating items. You know, even if it's only, I had a thing where I would do it every at least once a week. I'd go through my my feed and like or dislike any items that come through my feed to try and see if I can get some stuff added to the game. And weirdly enough, a lot of the items I have liked over the years, cause like I say, I've been playing this game for ages now. A lot of the items I have liked have been added to the game. I mean, there's obviously been loads that haven't been, but you can actually check which of the items you like have been added to the game, and you'd be surprised. It's not one of those things where you go and you rate the item, and then it will never, you never will have a chance of it coming to the game. You'll be surprised if you go and like something and it is, quite a well polished model. It's done all proper. It's got good thumbnails. It's got lots of information. It's, it doesn't need loads because it's only a cosmetic compared to a weapon. But if it's done properly, you'd be surprised how easy it is for a community content creator to get their items added to TF2. I would like to add as well that this list of community items and Valve-made items only involves badges that were made for a couple of specific events. Things like UGC and ETF2L, I haven't added all those badges. I mean, we're on to like season 20-something of some of them and 50-something of some, so there'll be just loads of badges. So I've not added them if you're worried about that affecting the statistics. But I think now, more than anything, you should go and check the Steam community workshop for TF2 items and go rate some stuff. I mean, some amazing maps on there, loads of maps. I could go into the history of TF2 maps for a follow-up episode if you want. There's a poll in the top right hand corner if you want to go rate on me making that video or not. It's up to you. But the history of how Valve has just gone from making completely their own stuff, where they had a full year where they're like, yeah, we'll just make our own stuff, and then we're like, well, people are making it for us, why don't we just use their stuff? It's pretty well made anyway, we'll just add that. And now we've got this game which is mostly community made items. I mean, your effects and your hats are mostly community made. But that does it for this video, guys. The thing to take away from this is go check out the Steam community made workshop for TF2 items and go rate some stuff. This week's weekly shout out goes to Inert Barra de Carbon, who recently subscribed to the channel. Very thankful for that. I have been Jay Caliber. Check out my Twitter and Discord, especially my Discord. We've got some events coming up very soon, and I will catch you next week for next week's video. Adios.